Hi, I'm Zechi, a rhythm gamer, and I don't know how to make music. I've never really tried before in my life, but I love music, like, a lot. It's honestly probably my favorite creative medium. So a while back I decided to try something. I wanted to learn how to make music with zero experience. And that means no prior knowledge of music theory and near zero knowledge of how to operate a music production program or a DAW. In my case, it's FL Studio. The reason I'm doing this as well, I'm just generally interested in music. That love for music was just nurtured even more by rhythm games, really. If I had to make an end goal for myself, it'd be just to make something I'm proud of. Really, I just want to make some good music. So I started about 7 months ago actually, March 30th to be exact. Then I stopped for 5 months and came back on September 11th. So my timetable for learning is a little bit weird, but in any case, in this video I'll show you how my music has evolved, as well as things I learned as time went by. From my first horrible track to my latest slightly less horrible track. It is important to note that this isn't a tutorial, it's simply a progress log of sorts. Let's begin. On March 30th, I took my very first step into the vast world of music. Let's start from the very beginning with my first track, Orange Flavored Toothpaste. One thing you'll quickly notice is that my track titles are stupid. I'm not going to play the entire track since it can be pretty long, but yeah. So for this track, I was just mainly experimenting, really. I was just fucking around in FL Studio trying to figure out how things work. What the fuck is this thing? What the fuck is that thing? Wow, I can just drop MP3 files in here. That's convenient. I was also trying to figure out the anatomy of a song. Stuff like, wow, chords are like the skeleton of a song. Kind of like the backbone or foundation of the entire song. Melodies are a pain in the ass. There are a lot of things I can say about Orange Flavored Toothpaste I like or dislike, but I will say one thing. I still find the ending funny. I also made a ton of other little experiments around this time, like this farming simulator-esque track that ended up with me making coffin dance at the end because I ran out of ideas. The one highlight of this time period really was this unnamed track I made on April 1st. It still sounds rough around the edges, but I still quite like it, honestly. One of my main inspirations at this point of time was Azali. They're an insanely talented composer that can make magic happen out of 2 or 3 instruments. They kind of made music a lot more approachable than it originally seemed, which was actually the biggest push for me to start trying in the first place. Because, you know, I want to make something good. Anyways, after this, I kind of just stopped. I made a few tracks here and there, but I really started around September 30th. So here's a quick crossfade of all the stuff I made around this time before we move on. So after a long break from music, even though I honestly barely even started, I tried opening FL Studio again on September 6th. And to this day, in my honest opinion, I think the track I made on this day is my favorite thing I've ever composed. Here it is. I didn't really know what to call it, so I call it I. Now, you can like or dislike it. I fucking love it. I don't know why. It's so soothing. But I'm just leaving this song in as its own little segment because it was major enough to me to serve as this little motivation boost I needed. Because I was actually just really happy with what I just made compared to all the stuff I made before. Hey, maybe even somebody as tone deaf as me can make some good music. With that, about 4 days later, I started a Twitter account called... I still don't know how to pronounce it. So, Zesu was a little account I made on September 10th. It was a side project where I'd make a short little composition every day. Nothing complex, just short little compositions. On the side, I try to study music theory as well as just figure out how music works. They'd be short compositions, kinda similar to daily sketches for an artist, I suppose. Sometimes they turn out pretty good, and sometimes they turn out kinda ugh. Anyways, in my head at the time, I figured that daily composition would be the quickest way for me to improve. I mean, it kinda makes sense, right? Do a thing more often and you will naturally improve at the thing. However, here's an important thing to take away from this video that I think could apply for really any creative medium. Don't be too hard on yourself. Here's the thing about my mindset at the time. My thought process was, because I was doing this daily, I always had to 100% make the next day's composition better than the previous days. And naturally, that expectation I placed on myself stressed me the fuck out. It sucks to suck, but remember that it's okay to suck. Everybody sucks at the start. I suck, you suck, he sucks, she suck, we all suck. But we get better. It also didn't help that I had a 40 Celsius fever on day 5, but whatever. Anyways, more on the music. Around this time period, I kind of learned more about the anatomy of songs around this time. It's pretty hard to vocalize what I learned since I'm not a professional musician, but I think around the time I developed a decent sense for where things should go if I want the music to sound good. I mean, I can definitely hear my music at the very least changing, if not improving over time. I also experimented a lot. Time signatures, no-release pianos, different genres of music, and composing with Maelstrom. Piano will always be my go-to instrument though. I like pianos. Here's a quick crossfade of what I did before we move on, and it's important to note that days 15 and 16 don't exist. Around October 2nd, I made a bit of a tweak. Instead of composing daily, I just composed whenever I felt like it. Two main reasons. Firstly, I burned myself out. I basically burned myself out to the point of exhaustion. Secondly, doing compositions daily didn't give me time to try longer projects. Instead of hopping from one day's track to the next, I wanted to try putting a bunch of effort into individual tracks, basically quality over quantity. My first attempt was called The Villains Have Teamed Up, aka track 16 of my Zetsu project. It had electronic elements like a bunch of synths, but I still relied on some organic sounds like a piano or guitar where I could. The theme of this one was really a piano and an electric guitar beat the shit out of each other and team up at the end. It's a weird theme, I know. I think I also figured out why composing electronic music was so confusing to me. Here was the dilemma. With traditional music, you can very easily pick out what's making a specific sound and incorporate it into your own music. For example, you hear classical music and you can very easily name out instruments. Hey, that's a violin. Oh, shit, that's clarinet. Oh, fuck, that's a piano. But with electronic music, the variety of instruments, synths, and sounds you could use are practically endless. And unless you're already well-versed in electronic music, you probably wouldn't be able to name them, and by extension, have trouble figuring out what their role is in your music, and how to recreate them in the first place. Anyways, next we move on to my second electronic track, Game Playing Cockatiels. This is track 19, made on October 4th. For this one, I was really just aiming for something way more upbeat than the previous track, and I think I achieved it. It was a ton of fun using instruments I had zero experience using, the super saws, the square wave, the birds. Yeah, this instrument just makes ambient bird noises. It was just overall a great experience learning how to layer stuff, and I'd say this one was a good success. My next and probably latest major milestone was on November 2nd, Maelstrom, aka track 24. Hi, I just got new glasses. I might kind of look dumb. So anyways, Maelstrom. This one was definitely out there for me. It's a full-on gothic hardcore track with a sloppy attempt at a piano solo and everything. And I loosely followed this tutorial by TNKY on what makes a gothic hardcore track a gothic hardcore track, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But anyways, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but this one came out pretty good. If there's one thing I think composing Maelstrom helped me improve on the most, and really just electronic music in general, it would be layering and just general composing techniques. For example, it's the little things that happen in the song that just really add the most. These tubular bells that ring every beat, and those downward arpeggiating little synth plucks, they just add to the song a lot more than I thought they would. However, there is one crux, which is that I did follow a tutorial. I don't really like that. The song came out good, so obviously the tutorial worked, but I don't know. I just want to make a song that comes from me instead of following tutorial. So my goal is to take the techniques I've learned from this and put them into anything I make in the future. Yeah, so one more thing that happened was my song actually got charted. Maelstrom got charted by Colin for Taiko simulators as a TJA, which was an interesting experience, honestly. Seeing how an experienced charter interprets my own track was honestly a lot cooler than I thought. And yeah, that's pretty much most of what I made. Here's a crossfade of all the songs I made during this this time period before we conclude. Tracks 16 to 28. So I tried to make music without any experience. How'd it go? Unsurprisingly, I'm still not Mozart, but that's besides the point. I had a lot of fun learning music theory, learning how to make songs, and I think one thing I didn't expect to come with learning how to make music is that I've deepened my appreciation of music as a whole. This isn't really a music theory thing, but I can just appreciate music better now. I guess it's kind of like chefs with trained palates or something. I don't know. I will continue to practice making music in the foreseeable future as a side hobby. Maybe one day I'll earn an Oscar. It's a Grammy, isn't it? Anyways, thank you guys for watching. See ya.